Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective. Sorry about my hand in your face. While I was doing that, I was fixing the camera, but I suppose I should have probably done that beforehand, huh? But anyways, we are here with Self-Care Wednesday. So, don't mind me. No, I have not had caffeine. When my anxiety ramps up, it's just kind of like, it's like me on caffeine. But yeah, I think today's anxiety is brought to you by the first day of Lent. And I'll get to that in a second. If you do observe Lent, happy Lent. Although I'm not sure if it's happy because you got to give up stuff or change behaviors and all that stuff. So I'll get into what I'm doing and I'll get into why I'm doing it, since the majority of you know I do not subscribe to organized religion right now. Probably, I moved away from it. But sometimes, you can take the Catholic girl out of the Catholic Church, but you can't always take the Catholic out of her. So I will get to that. And I'll get to that after we do the morning mantras and some mindfulness cards. Okay, so morning mantras. Woo, woo, woo. I know. Or maybe I'm just really kind of getting back into me, which I'll talk about too, because I think that just kind of hit my head. So, I keep my fire lit and blaze through all my shit. Okay, well, it actually doesn't say shit, but it's implied. So after a day of it, I can enjoy my evening sit. Okay, I didn't expect that one to rhyme. And this is going to sound funny. So one of the things I'm trying to do today is do something that a lot of Catholics actually do, or maybe a lot of people, I don't know. I wasn't raised in other religions, I was raised in Catholic religion, but a lot of people do try to fast on Lent because it's the first day, right? And it's supposed to represent the 40 days Jesus was in the desert facing the demons, trying to show people, hey, this is enlightenment, I'm here to sacrifice all my stuff for you, blah blah blah. And well, not blah blah blah, sorry. If you really put your heart and soul into religious studies and whatnot, then I promise you, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. There's a bit of anxiety, and like I said, I will go into that because most people don't smile when they have anxiety. It's just kind of like, but I realize, that this is what it is. And like I said, I'll get to it, but look how cute he is. He's just like, oh yeah, I'm just meditating, enjoying my life. This cute little, oh, and he's a boar. Get it? A boar. I keep my fire lit and blaze through all my shit. So after a day of it, I can enjoy my evening sit. I like that though. I'm blazing through all my shit right now. I mentioned I was back in therapy, and I've been doing a chapter a night per my therapist to move back through my story, but in a way that will help me heal, because I'm seeing it through different eyes. And so, I am blazing through all my shit, and it hasn't been easy. And, so it's been rather hard, but it's been different. So it's also been very mind-blowing and eye-opening. And, wow, there's a lot of cards coming out here. I don't know if you can see them popping out, but dang. But, I like that card because, sometimes we think we've healed, and then we try to move through things, and we don't really have the strength to move through it. And that's what I think this is really doing. My therapist, I think, is really trying to show me, hey, this is how you embrace your true self-love, because you deserve that. You deserve, your self-worth is priceless. Your self-worth is priceless. All of yours. Mine and yours. So we need to remember that. But I also love that card because it was just so cute. He was just so cute. But anyways, like I said, I'll get to what I gave up in a bit. But let's do the mindfulness card. So again, we're in Self-Care Wednesday. It's hump day. And card number 1, mantra. Mantras are good. Especially if you are going through Lent and you are giving up things or trying new things. A mantra can be absolutely 100%, 102% your kind of your net. you know, and you can just repeat it until things pass. You know, 1 year I gave up Coca-Cola, right? That is a no-no. I have not had an actual Coca-Cola in 12 and a half years because it was, that was an addiction. But, and you know, I know people say it's just soda, but for me it wasn't. It was caffeine, sugar, and not diet. I can't drink diet because it gives me a headache. The aspartame or any kind of fake sugar gives me a headache, and it always has. Somebody got paid $1 million to do a study on that, and I'm like, you should have just given it to me because I could have told you. This is how it's always been. But going back through that, it was hard. You know, and because there was so much caffeine and sugar and whatnot in my system, because I was drinking like, you know, the equivalent of like, I don't know, 3 or 4 sodas a day, because I'd have a big gulp every day. Yeah, of regular Coke. And I went through the withdrawals. I mean, I had the sweats, I had the headaches, I had the stomach aches. It was just, I mean, I was nauseous. It was just, it was crazy. It was crazy. So, I don't know what it's like to detox from really hard substances, but this was bad enough. So I don't even want to know. It's gotta be so much worse. But, since then, I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about, you know, the spiritualism and whatnot, and how mantras really can, you know, change our mindsets. You know, it's about digging deep and finding something that works for you, so that when you do find it, you can say it and you can believe it. So, print or write out a poem or mantra that you'd like to reflect on regularly. Keep it in your wallet or phone case so that it is always accessible. When you are in a state of non-mindfulness, it is difficult to remember the things that keep you grounded. Carry it with you as a reminder. Now, I know that's not always easy because, you know, once we put something in a wallet or a phone case or a purse, we don't necessarily take it out and read it. So you can have a long mantra, you know, like the poem or the mantra that it says. But, you know, if it is a poem, maybe you love a poem, maybe there's a line in there that really, really speaks to you. Save that. Keep it, you know, repeat it over and over and over again so that it's ingrained into your head. Me? I write my stuff right here. I know. And the reason I do that is because I write with this hand. I'm a right-handed person. But this one, it's like one day at a time. You've got this. And I know not everybody is cool with writing on their skin. But, you know, for me, it's like I'm my own whiteboard. You know, I'm my own chalkboard. And it stays there, and when it's gone, you know, sometimes I'll put it back on there, but I keep it there to remind me. Some people use rubber bands, right? Like, why do I have this rubber band? Oh yeah, that's right, my mantra. Or I need to remember to turn off the stove before I leave the house, or I need to remember to turn off the coffee maker before I leave the house. All this stuff. But to me, mantras lately have been a lifesaver for me. Like when I feel something coming up, it's like, you know, one of my favorites lately has been I am safe and protected. And, you know, a lot of that has come back up because of the fact that my therapist has me going back into my past. But she has me going back into my past, not to keep me there, but because, remember, and if you follow the show continuously, I talked a few weeks ago about how I just feel stuck in my emotions, how I feel like I just can't seem to cross over that line into this, you know, beautiful life that I know is waiting there. It started to feel like, and she kind of hit the nail on the head. What, you know, how much do you value yourself? And I realized I'm always teaching people how to value themselves. I'm always, you know, trying to share experiences so people value themselves, but I don't. Even from the compliments and the kind words and everything that people give me, whether it's on Facebook or on Twitter or other, you know, social media, Instagram, I struggle with believing it. And that's why I think she has me going from the beginning of where all the bad things started happening and having me work through my life up until now, up until today, tomorrow, wherever I'm at when I finish that story of my life. And I told older sibling because she asked me how I was doing, because I was really struggling the last 2 nights. The last 2 days, going back over this has not been easy. And I told her, I said, at one point I thought it was okay. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to journal for tonight. I finished my chapter 2, blah, blah, blah. Then all of a sudden it's like I just started crying because everything I wrote just suddenly washed over me. And it's like, oh my God. And I don't know if I was crying because it was painful to go back through there, or because I'm realizing I survived all that, or because, you're sitting there going, whoa, or maybe it was all of the above. But I told her I reacted differently this time. It wasn't why me, why me, why me? This sucks. This should have never happened to me. It shouldn't happen to anybody. Okay? It shouldn't. But then I started talking to that inner child, which is exactly what my therapist wanted me to do, to connect myself to my inner child at last, instead of being two separate entities. And I told her, I said, it's okay. We're going to be okay. I'm going to protect you now. So it's like my inner child is my child. But it is mine because it's mine, right? My inner floof is my inner floof. It's me. But I'm telling that little girl who was just so damaged and broken that we're going to be okay. We've got this. And so having that mantra helped, which is, I am safe and I am protected. And if it feels like it's an inner floof kind of thing, you are safe, you are protected. So let's see. Number 2. Turn off your phone. Yeah, turn off your phone. The most distracting object we own, keeping us from mindfulness, is our phone. Constantly overwhelmed with the emails, the time, the texts, social media, the weather, the news, your phone can be a distraction from the present moment. Choose a time in the day when you turn off your phone or leave it behind. Be present in conversations. Be present with your family and enjoy the time without it. I'm going to put this aside because, believe it or not, we're going to touch on that with the 10 things for self-care if we ever get there, because I'm yammering like crazy. Children. Sometimes children practice mindfulness unknowingly. They have little need to worry about the past or the future. Take time to play with your kids. Ask them what the happiest moment of their day was. Take a moment to lose yourself in their mindfulness. Sometimes we get so caught up in our days, we forget to ask each other, how are you doing? How was your day? Did you have a great day? Did you not have a great day? We'll share, especially your kids. My nephew, I don't think he does it anymore, but my nephew, when he was like 5, he would just sit down and start meditating. It was like, baby sibling sent me a picture of him once, or a little video. I'm like, I said, is he meditating? And I said, good for you, teach. She's like, I didn't teach him that. He just started doing it. But she would meditate, and he was emulating her. And then at some point they started doing it together. And so it was kind of their thing for a while. Let's see. Eat mindfully. Oh, that's another one we're going to get into. When eating breakfast one morning, give relaxed attention to the tastes and the textures of the food. Chew and swallow slowly. Choose what you will eat based on what you plan to do that day. If you will be very active, eat carbs for energy. If you are planning a lazier day, eat healthy fats to nourish your body. Enjoy the taste in each bite. And from The Magic by Rhonda Byrne, while you're, enjoying the textures and, feeling, or what is it? When you're paying attention to the tastes and the textures and all that, she said, start using gratitude, because it didn't just magically appear on your plate. Right? Maybe someone cooked you breakfast, or even if you're at a restaurant, someone cooked you something, your meal, but somebody also picked the ingredients. Someone also grew the ingredients, whether it was, whether you're eating meat or you're eating vegetables or both. Somebody made it. Somebody packaged it up for you. Somebody cut it. Somebody did all these things. And it talks about being mindful about that and grateful. And then as you're doing that, you're noticing you're probably getting fuller faster because you're chewing. I have a bad habit of eating like I'm, on the fly. And I think that came from, my early days. I used to work, my first jobs were in a bookstore, and then, both retail. And in retail, you got like half an hour to, for a break. And you get your 15-minute breaks and stuff like that, but you only have half an hour for lunch, whatever time of day lunch ends up being. So you're like, because you want to be able to just sit back and relax a little bit. Most people will take their whole lunch period to eat. But see, I used to like to write on my breaks too. So I would try to hurry up and eat so I could get a little bit of writing in. And that's something I got to nip in the bud. So eat mindfully. All right. Let's see. Flower power. Well, we had this one last week. Examine the intricacies of a flower, the petals, the colors, the lines. Take the time to notice the difference between two flowers of the same type and why that might be. Does one have more sunlight? Is the soil better quality? Have you recently watered one more than the other? We can also do this with people. Don't compare because of, color or race or whatever. It could be two people standing there who are so similar in personality on the outside, but how are they really on the inside? Have you stopped to ask them how they're doing? I mean, there were times when I could see someone struggling and be like, hey, how's it going today? They're like, well, I'm good. And I'm like, okay, now, how's it really going today? And then because somebody took the time to ask them that, I think something clicks in their head and all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, it's not the best day, but I'm trying. I'm like, well, if you want to talk about it, I'm right here. And sometimes I'll walk away and come back. Sometimes I'll walk away and not come back. But sometimes they'll just start telling me right there, well, this is what's going on. And I think just having somebody care enough to listen, have somebody, sit there and notice that they're hurting or that there's something on their mind. It gives them that space to be open. Even if they don't say anything to you, it gives them the space to be open to themselves. And maybe, you don't know what's going to happen. Maybe they go off and resolve the issue. Maybe they just let it go, or maybe they hang on to it again for a little while. But they know now that somebody said, okay, now, how are you actually doing? How are you really feeling? And sometimes if they say fine, I'm good. It's like, okay. And just let it go from there. You've asked them twice, let it go from there. Because they might actually be okay. Maybe they're just having a moment. Maybe they just stubbed their toe and they're like, oh my God. And so they look frustrated. You can't push it because sometimes when you push people too hard, you're backing them into a corner and they're going to come out fighting or they're just going to shut down. So you asked them once, you asked them twice, just settle for it. You cannot fix other people's problems, but you can listen when they're ready. All right. And that's to me the same thing as the flower power. Noticing, how we're all alike, but we're so different at the same time. Embracing the diversity is the other way we can look at that. Embracing all of our diversities, loving one another. Not for, as Martin Luther King said, not for the color of their skin, but the content of their character. Right? Right. Thank you, Dr. King. All right. Be prepared. I feel like this is a Girl Scout or a Boy Scout thing. Be prepared. Do a favor for your future self. At night, choose an outfit for the next day. Make sure it's clean, steamed, or ironed as needed. Hang it up. Taking choices out of your morning will allow you to be more present in your morning activities, making coffee, eating breakfast, drinking water, etc. Today was the first time in over a week I actually had time for coffee. And thank you, older sibling, for making me coffee. So, which is always nice. It's always nice to just kind of decompress. Well, of course, I didn't decompress. I was yammering her ear off. But it was nice to have that again. It wasn't rushing. And actually it was going so well that I kind of did rush right onto the perspective because it's like, oh my God, this is why I wanted to stay away from technology, but I knew if I didn't want my phone near me, I had to have my watch on because then my alarm goes off and I'll hear it. Otherwise, because my brain is, I think one of the reasons the anxiety is popping up so hard is because my brain is rewiring itself. This journey I'm taking into the past, it's basically going into the past and working my way to the present. But it's going back to the very, very beginning. And I think because of that, my brain is rewiring. So I think a lot of times it may just be talking fast to get it all out before I forget it. Because it is emotionally overwhelming. It is emotionally exhausting. It's hard. It's hard work, but it's like a good workout, right? Because baby sibling asked me how I was doing yesterday. And I'm like, you know what? It's hard. And she's like, well, I'm really proud of you. It's like, thanks. I appreciate that. And I'm kind of proud of myself too, because it's like, I'm not pushing this aside. I'm doing exactly what my therapist wanted me to do. Now, interestingly enough, this is stuff I've known I've had to do, but I just wanted to be done with it. And she's kind of giving me permission to not be done with it, to really heal it. And, in the proper way. And it's not that the way I did it before was improper. It's just, I think you get to this point where you're so exhausted and so tired, you're done. You're like, I'm out. I'm finished. No more. Because you can't handle it anymore. And you're just like, bleh. Right. And I think that's where I was. So this is giving me that opportunity. But, you know, when I told baby sibling, when she asked me how I was doing, I said, you know what? I said, it's like a good workout, right? I said, you're tired, you're exhausted, you're hurting, but you're like, wow, I really needed that. It's like that good pain, that good, you know, like I just did something for myself and I can feel it. And, you know, that can be so important for all of us as we move forward. I was holding on to victim consciousness, which is a term I learned through one of my self-healing things. And I was like, wow, it's like I never thought about that. I really thought I'd moved past that. But to be honest, while I thought I was thriving, I was still in survival mode. So it's kind of like I was, you know, feeding myself a load of bullshit. And we can't do that. It is hard to face our past. But my therapist is determined, like I'm determined with all of you, to teach me self-love. And to show me my worth, and, you know, to do what I am trying to do for all of you and hopefully have accomplished in some areas. She's trying to do that for me. And I think she sees that, you know, I haven't been doing it well enough for myself. Sorry, my anxiety, it's going to be okay. I'm going to get to the reason why I feel like I'm like this. So, last card. Stop complaining. Stop complaining. Try for one day to make no complaints about anything. Notice when others do and be aware of the grievance with no judgment. When you experience a day without this negative energy, you will begin to see the positive impact removing this from your life can have. If you are a person who participates or observes, that's the word I'm looking for. If you are a person who observes Lent, maybe add this to your 40 plus days. That's right, kids. It ain't 40 days. It's 40 plus days. I found that out the hard way. I mean, I was like a couple years old a few days ago thinking, holy shit, Lent is like 46 days. Okay? Because there was like 40 days in the desert, right? But then all of a sudden there's Palm Sunday, and then Lent ends the following Saturday. And I was looking at that and I'm like, oh, that's more than 40 days. In fact, Google told me it's like 46 plus days, depending on when Lent starts, you know, or when Easter is, I'm sorry. And I thought, I've been lied to all my life. Or I just didn't bother to do the math and I was overly trusting, which is probably really it. But, stop complaining. Stop complaining, Shelley Marie. But yeah, implement this, even if you don't observe Lent, you know, even if you're not into organized religions, I'm not, but I do this for my mom. And I did it for my mom, not because she passed away, but because every year, the Monday before Lent, the Monday before Mardi Gras, Tuesday or Fat Tuesday, what are you giving up for Lent? And every time I figured like I was going to get away with it. Because if I didn't hear from her on Monday, I knew that Wednesday. So what are you giving up for Lent? So babe, what are you giving up for Lent? That was my mom. It just kind of stuck. It really did just kind of stick. So, as we're doing Self-Care Wednesday, even if, like I said, even if you don't observe Lent, try this. Try this not complaining for 40 days. Try the mantra thing for 40 days. It takes 21 days to create a habit. In my perspective, it takes, you know, as the textbook says, 21 days to create a habit. In my perspective, it takes 28 plus days to make it stick. So when you got 40 days in there, just check it off on your calendar. You know, when you get to Easter, you can decide whether or not to keep going or whatever. And you don't have to look at Easter as being a religious holiday. You can just say it's like, you know, this is the starting line, this is the finish line. Lent is the starting line today. Ash Wednesday is the starting line. Easter is the finish line. It doesn't have to be religious. It can just be something for you to get into a habit, to get into a positive mindset. We ignore that a lot. And we shouldn't, because we are worthy of so much. We are, you know, we're all priceless in our own ways. But some of us don't see that in ourselves. Some of us don't see how much we're worth. And, you know, that's one of the reasons I keep doing the perspective, because now it's starting to, you know, it's starting to seep into my life, because I have a therapist who's making it seep into my life. Now, I'm not trying to scare people with therapy. All therapists are different. this one is just really good at reading me and knowing what it is I need to hear. Because she listened to everything I had to say and then basically kind of gave me the same feedback that I would give everybody else, but don't follow myself. And I told her that. I said, I'm very good at giving advice, or, when people ask me, I'm very good at giving, direction, but I'm terrible at taking it. It's like, here's the map, but I'm going to wing it. Can't always wing it. Sometimes you need the map. Sometimes you need that GPS. So, I found this on verywellmind.com. It was actually, oh wait, no, sorry. That's the wrong one. Here we go. Self-care tips from bestlifeonline.com. Self-care tips from bestlifeonline.com. I wrote down 10. There's actually 40. So I figured maybe we'll just spread it out over, the next 4 weeks, or just whenever we need that. But the first 10 were awesome. It wasn't like I took 40 and randomly picked it. I'm just going down in a row. Okay, sorry, that's distracting, isn't it? But anyway, self-care tips, bestlifeonline.com. Number 1, write yourself a love letter. People think, write myself a love letter. Yeah, who else should write you a love letter? Sure, we think, oh, well, if we're dating someone or not, or all the people out there, well, I'm single and I don't have anyone to write me a love letter. You have you. You have you. You are the one consistent relationship you are in your whole life. And you can either love yourself, or you can hate yourself, or you can be undecided about yourself. I recommend loving yourself. I recommend writing yourself a love letter. And if you struggle through it, then you know where you need to work on. You know what you need to work on. And, this is where my struggle is. So, I told you, this is my brain. The reason my anxiety is ramping up today, and this is one of the reasons why I know I need to write myself a love letter today, and I'll do it in my journal. I'll do it in the Floof journal, right? So, for Lent, since we were talking about that, because like I said, I still observe it for my mom. I decided I really want to let go of fear and worrying. But I'm also going to work very, very hard on not feeding my emotions anymore. And today I'm really going to try to do my best to sort of fast. So I need to have the protein shakes because nobody wants to pass out, right? I mean, you can't just say, oh, I'm going to fast today. Some people can, I cannot. When my blood sugar gets low, it gets dangerously low. I get cranky. And, it's kind of, oh God, I can't think of the term for it, but hypoglycemic. No, I'm borderline hypoglycemic. So and then I start to hurt, all this crap. So I thought, well, I'm going to do protein shakes today because a lot of times when I get busy, I forget to eat. So it's like, it's good to have that because it has all your nutrients, all your stuff, blah, blah, blah. But it's safer for me that way. But I got my anxiety ramped up because the first thing I sit there and say, I can't do this. But I switched that this morning. Before I even thought about it, I thought, no, I'm going to do this. I can do this. I'm strong enough to do this. I even created a little, like Lent journal for myself with kitty cats, Disney cats. Oh, they're so cute. Look at that one. That one just makes me smile. All fluffy and cute and adorable. I know, I could look at this all day. Anyway, and I broke it down into 3 chapters. Initially, that was supposed to be like a food journal, which ironically, it's because it has cats on it. Not, because cats like to nibble off and on. Just like dogs, right? But cats and dogs. But they didn't have a dog one. So, see, I'm rambling. But it's because my brain is cycling so hard right now. Because it's trying to keep itself busy. It's trying to keep itself busy and remind me that you can do this. That's why I wrote this on here. One day at a time, you've got this. I wrote it last night, so I knew I would see it this morning because last night I was already freaking out about today. I had my last fun things. I took Mardi Gras and Fat Tuesday to a whole new level yesterday. I mean, it was just so funny because, you know, I went to my favorite fast food place. I'm like, I'm going to have this because I'm going to give it up for a while, if not for a very long time, past Lent, which is my goal, because it became a place of emotional eating for me the summer my mom was dying. I never went to this place that often, but then I noticed it became my crutch after my mom, you know, got sick. And so I'm like, I have to really pull myself away from this. Not give it up because it's bad for me, but give it up because mentally it's bad for me. I mean, it's obviously not physically great for me. But then I drove away from the window, and the guy didn't, because, you know, I thought everything was in there. I drove away from the window, and I didn't want to back up because somebody had already started pulling forward. So I pulled to the front, went in, grabbed the stuff that was missing. Then I was about to leave. The guy comes running out because he felt bad. And I'm like, no, it was my fault. And he gives me a burger. And it's just like, oh my God. It took Fat Tuesday to a whole new level. But, and I enjoyed it all. Let me tell you. I mean, I didn't finish all of it. I had a little bit of everything. But then a lot of times when I've tried to do this before, I freaked out. But something's, like I said, my brain is rewiring. Something's changing inside me. And I'm realizing now that it's like, I don't need all that. What I need is to trust myself. And the more I find that I'm trusting myself, the more my habits are starting to change. But it scared me because letting go of worry and fear, that's been a part of my life for forever. Letting go of emotional eating, that's been a part of my life for forever. Eating fast, that's been a part of my life for forever. I'm 50 fucking years old. Okay, I'm like half a century. There's a lot of bad habits sitting behind me. A lot of bad habits sitting behind me. And I need to put the kibosh on them. Now, you're probably saying, what does it have to do with writing yourself a love letter? When you write yourself a love letter, you're showing what is either present in your life or missing in your life. Remember, you're priceless. In fact, just put dear, you know, name here. You know, dear, name here. You are priceless. Start it with that. You are priceless. Remind yourself how much you're worth. Remind yourself that you are a gift to this world, even if you don't feel like you are. You are helping people, you know, again, even if you don't feel like you are. Sometimes being completely honest about, you know, even just our mental health or our well-being. You know, I mental health advocate because there are people out there who are afraid of their own stories. Or people out there who don't want to relive their own stories. And I'm not telling you you have to. This is the path I have to take. But it's like I said, this is my version of shadow work. And I'm in therapy with somebody who knows how to handle that. I'm in therapy with somebody who, you know, can give me the tools that I need to protect myself so that it doesn't go sideways. But she's trying to teach me that, you know, my self-love might be a little weak. And she didn't say weak, but it's not as strong as it should be. So when you write yourself that letter, that love letter to yourself, start it out with, I am priceless. Or you, dear so-and-so, dear fill in the blank. You are priceless. And if you don't feel that, if it doesn't touch you, then that should be your mantra. You are priceless. I am priceless. Look in the mirror. I am priceless. And say it until you start to feel maybe a little twinge inside of you. This little ooh. And once you feel that spark, you're kind of like, huh. Because your heart is starting to feel it. And it's starting to kind of put the duct tape over the mind's mouth. Because sometimes our mind tries to protect us too hard. And when it tries to protect us too hard, unfortunately, it also takes us down with it. You know, you don't need to be the captain going down on the ship. Just get into the lifeboat and be the captain there. All right? And then you'll get a new boat. You'll get a brand new, whatever, brand new ship, right? And then you'll be in the ocean of bliss and, you know, the wall of waves. I'm telling you, the wall of waves between the sea of misery and the ocean of bliss, it's freaking scary. And it's hard. It's like a big squall, right? But when you get through there and you look back and you think, wow, I did that. I did that. Sometimes we look back and don't realize how far we've actually come. And I think we need to do that. Okay, so number 2, start taking compliments like a champ. I struggle with that so hard. I love giving compliments. I will never say something I don't mean. So if I'm giving you a compliment, it's 100% me giving you a compliment. However, when people give me a compliment, it's like, no, well, thanks, or like the other day. Yesterday's Wordle was just, my poor cousin got it wrong because he's like, I never even heard of this word before. And it's like, and that happens to me sometimes. It's like, where the hell did they get this word? It's like, are they just going into the dictionary or going onto Google and looking up 5-letter words? But whatever it is, kudos to them, okay? Because it has got to not be easy to have this going on for a couple of years and you have to come up with 5-letter words. But this word came up and my cousin was just like, I got it wrong because I had no idea what this word was. I knew what this word was because I was on Ancestry doing some ancestry work for older sibling, and the word happened to come up. But the thing is it's kind of like that, I posted it because I post my Wordle every day to Facebook so my friends can share their posts on there and we can all commiserate or celebrate together. And it actually started between two of my friends and I. And so I would just post it for us to share because it's like, oh, you play this too? And it's like, oh yeah, okay, I'm going to do this every day. Let's share and keep in touch. And so I did that. And somebody said, wow, that was really impressive. And I said, well, not really. But and then they said, yeah, it was. Because it's like you had hardly any letters on there and all of a sudden you have the word. And it's like, oh, well, I didn't think about it. It just popped into my mind and I put it in there. But I instead of just saying thank you, I tried to say, no, it's not that big a deal. We're not always good at accepting compliments. And there's this mindset that, we have where people will sit there and say, oh, well, you got to stop being so big on yourself. Sometimes it happens in school, right? So big on yourself. But a confident person doesn't necessarily mean a narcissistic person. A narcissist doesn't understand their behavior, or they don't see their behavior. And it's all about them, not about anybody else. A confident person, a person who can accept compliments, who has self-love, that's a desired trait. That is looking at yourself and saying, you know what? You're worth it. And if someone compliments you today, you take that compliment. Just say thank you. A narcissist would probably say, yeah, I know. And sometimes we might joke about that. Yeah, I know. And that's okay. That doesn't mean you're a narcissist. It just means that somebody that you are very close to who knows your sense of humor is giving you a compliment. But also when you say, yeah, I know, and you're kind of joking it off, that's also not really taking the compliment. It's being nervous about it. It's being shy about it. Just say thank you. And you don't have to necessarily say, well, so are you. So are you. You don't have to. I do it a lot because I mean it, and I know other people mean it too. But what I'm saying is if somebody gives you a compliment, you don't necessarily have to give them one back to show that you care. They know how you feel about them. They know what you think about them. Don't be shy about it. Just say thank you. I appreciate your kind words. Okay, number 3, spend time alone. I'm an only child. Not a hard thing for me to do. Older siblings and only child too, so we both know how to, spend time alone. But a lot of people don't. And I actually think spend time alone. So I think number 3 and number 8 go along together with this. So I will come back to that when we get to number 8. But spend time alone. I know it's hard. I know it's scary. I know it's freaky. But it could even be meditation time. If you have a house full of people. When you first wake up, just find some alone time. If you wake up at the same time as everybody else, but you really want that alone time, schedule it for either when they're off to bed, or in the shower where nobody else is. Well, usually there's nobody else, but hey, if there is somebody else in there, happy times to you. However, if it's just you, when you're in the shower alone, because that really is a true alone time, lock the door, so people can't just go traipsing in. Hey, where's this? I need this, blah, blah, blah. It's your alone time. And let people know that, hey, you know what? I'm going to shower. Just leave me alone for like 20 minutes, okay? Because I need to, unless there's an emergency, of course, because some people have kids. And, well, anyways, you see what I'm saying, my point. If that doesn't work, get up early. Get up earlier. Wake up 15, 20, 30 minutes before everybody else. So you have that alone time. Alone time is important. Or lunch break, right? Don't eat lunch at your desk. Find a quiet place and have lunch. Go outside. See the world. Listen to the birds. Look at the trees. Our birds are starting to chirp again, which means spring is coming quick. So spending time alone can also help with clarity. It can help with, meditation. I think a lot of times people meditate and don't even realize they're doing it. Or they'll freak out and say, I don't know how to meditate. But if you're sitting there and you just start staring off into space, that's almost like meditating, because your mind is blank. You're just noticing everything around you. You're taking it all in. Even if you're just sitting there and you feel the warmth of the sun on your face and you're just like, it feels amazing. And then you just sit there and you continue to feel it. But that's the only thought running through your mind. That's like a form of meditation. There is no wrong way to do meditation. And I think in the old teachings, I think they would say there was. But there really isn't anymore. Meditation is mindfulness. It's about finding a way to clear your mind. It could be as short as 1 minute long. It could be a quick thing where you're just struggling and you're like, I need to take a deep breath. Deep breathing and focusing on your breath while you're calming down. That's meditation. So don't be afraid to spend time alone. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay. One of my birthdays a few years back, I think it was 2020, right before the world shut down. On my actual birthday, sibling and I were going to my favorite restaurant, which I didn't know. My dad and my cousin came up to surprise me, so that was fun. But on my birthday, they had this whole medieval exhibit going on at the museum just down the freeway, and I'm so fascinated by history. And they had all kinds of artifacts. They had like helmets from old, just from England and France and Spain, and just things that were like a couple 100+ years old. And it was just the most fascinating exhibit. Now, when I went there, almost everybody I saw was with somebody. I wasn't. And a lot of times people are afraid to do things by themselves because they think they have to have somebody. But if you stop and think about it, when sibling and I go to a museum, unless it's a museum that has like the earphones and they guide you through, when it's just an open exhibit, sibling and I do this, we head in different directions. Sometimes we run into each other, sometimes we don't. But think about it. It's kind of the same thing. It's almost like going there alone. Like once you enter the doors, you're on your own. Now imagine just driving there yourself and then doing it alone. You can take yourself out, do something fun. I used to go to Disney. The first time I ever went to Disneyland alone, that was inspired by Bestie Troy. But I was like, whoa, this is so cool. Like, I don't have to wait for anybody. I can do whatever I want. Nobody has to sit there and spend 5 minutes trying to figure out what's next. I just circled. And I did whatever I want. I jumped on whatever I want. I did things I probably wouldn't normally do by myself. I did go once on my birthday. And some guy, I was standing out in the rain because my whole thing was, it was raining on my birthday again. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to stand out here. The minute I'm soaked, I'm out. I'm going home. I'm going to have hot cocoa, watch a movie. And all I heard was this kid like, Daddy, why is that woman standing out in the rain by herself? And I heard that and I thought, you know what? This is a very empowering moment for myself. I wasn't afraid of the rain. And I was there by myself. Because I told the people that I told my friends and older sibling, you know what, it's raining, stay home. Don't take the day off for this because it's not important. I think it was, I can't remember which birthday it was, but it was like, don't worry about it. I'm good. I'm in. So, take yourself out to dinner so this is 4 and 5. Okay. Take yourself out to dinner or take yourself out to a movie. Now, this is the same as spend time alone. So it's working its way up to this. And again, everything I just said about doing things alone. First time I ever went to dinner by myself, I was kind of like, this is weird and people look at you, but it's like, you know what? I don't care. It was a little weird at first. I actually started at a fast food place the very first time I decided to eat by myself, and that was inspired by one of my really good friends, Sanja. And she's like, oh yeah, I do it all the time. I'm like, really? It's like, what's it like? She's like, oh, it's nice. She's like, you're just sitting there and you're eating. She's like, not a big deal. And I was like, okay, well, she says it's not a big deal, so I'm going to try it. And it was kind of strange at first. But then I was like, okay. And then I looked around at the fast food place, and there were so many people just sitting by themselves, lunch breaks or whatever, they were there. Then when I took myself to my favorite restaurant, where I usually go for my birthday, that was a little awkward. But at the same time, it was very, very empowering. I was the only one sitting by myself. And, you know, the guy's like, so, how's it going tonight? I'm like, oh, great. I'm taking myself out on a date. He's like, I have never heard that before. I'm like, oh, yeah, no, this is all about me tonight. And it was really kind of a self-love moment. You know, it's treating yourself to something nice, to something good. It's showing yourself that you can do things alone, that you don't always have to be in a group. You get clarity because you're just sitting there by yourself. You're able to enjoy more of the atmosphere around you because you're not in conversation with someone, which isn't a bad thing. It's always nice to have other people. But sometimes it's good to have that moment for ourselves, to treat ourselves to things, you know, whether you go out to ice cream or not. Movies. I love going to movies by myself. Most of the time I do, because older siblings and my taste in movies vary dramatically. Some movies we like together, you know, that we do have some things in common, but when it comes to most movies, no. She is not a sci-fi fan. She's not a comic book movie fan, and that's okay. I go by myself. I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, I can't believe I have to go by myself. You know, and then you guilt somebody into it and they're just like, no, I just go by myself and I don't care. And then look around the theater. There are so many other people going by themselves. But also, nobody talks to me and I don't feel compelled to talk to anybody else. So it can be a very good thing. Because I've actually kind of gotten to the point where I really don't like going to movies with other people. I will. And it's okay. Because I know the people that won't talk to me during a movie. And, you know, sometimes you do share stuff very quietly. All right. If you're going to talk during the movie, make sure it's just between the two of you. But, I get so immersed. And like I said, because our tastes in what we like to see are so different, an older sibling usually doesn't go with me to the movies. And so, like I said, I'm kind of just, you know, if I don't go because I don't want to go by myself, I'll never see it. So don't be afraid to do either or. Spend some time alone. Take yourself out to dinner, take yourself out to a movie, or do both. You know, take yourself out to dinner and a movie. Hey, while you're at it, buy yourself some flowers. You know, it doesn't matter if you're a guy or a woman. They always look nice somewhere. I used to buy myself flowers and put them on my desk at work. So number 6, treat yourself like you would treat your best friend. See 3, 4, and 5. Or maybe 4 and 5. Do something nice for yourself. You know, would you take your friend out for a massage? Hey, so-and-so, you know, you look stressed. Let's go out for a massage. I've even done that by myself. I know most people do, but, you know, and it's, when I say stuff like that, it's because a lot of times I get nervous. You know, I get like, I get tense. And it's like, I've never had this experience before. What's it going to be like? And sometimes you want people to hold your hand through it because you're a little nervous about it. But you have to trust yourself. And that's a big part of this stuff. That's a big part of this exercise, is trusting yourself. And you have to trust yourself with your self-care. So, you know, again, treat yourself like you would treat your best friend. And if you're mean to your best friend, you need to change your behavior. Number 7, rid your home of clutter. I'm shaking my head because I have so much clutter. I do. There's so many things that I've held on to that I don't need to hang on to. I held on to them because I thought they had some kind of memory value. But then you look around and it's like, oh my God, I got far too many of these, of the same thing. That's why I went from collecting shot glasses when people would go somewhere to pens, because pens take up way less space. And it's always nice to have that shot glass collection. And there are some where it's like, I keep my favorites, you know, because my mom would go, and even if she'd been there before, she would bring me back another shot glass. So I keep the ones that are important and special to me, you know, and someday when I have my own wet bar, I'll have shot glasses. Yay! But that doesn't mean we have to keep all the clutter. That doesn't mean we don't have to be like a little rodent and burrow ourselves. And, you know, letting go can be huge. Detaching from things that, you know, maybe don't bring us joy, but we thought they brought us comfort is a good way to let go. You can bring that energy back into the house. Here's number 8. So number 8, I think, goes with number 3 and this card. the turn off your phone. Number 8, put your phone on airplane mode. So you don't have to turn it off. Maybe you get anxiety turning it off, thinking, oh my God, somebody might try to call me. But put it in airplane mode for a little bit. Spend some time alone. And again, the most distracting object we own, keeping us from mindfulness, can't even say it. Keeping us from mindfulness is our phone. Keeping us from mindfulness is our phone. So constantly overwhelmed with emails, the time, text, social media, the weather, the news, your phone can be a distraction from the present moment. Choose a time in the day when you turn off your phone or leave it behind. Be present in conversations, be present with your family, and enjoy the time without it. I am learning how to do that. Yesterday, older sibling and I went out to lunch, and I'm like, uh-oh, I forgot my phone at home. And she's all, well, did you need it? I'm like, nah, I said, it's fine. It's in the house. And she's all, I'm really proud of you. Because in the past, I'd be like, I got to go back and get my phone. But it's like, I don't need it. We're just picking up food and going home. If something happens, I'm sure somebody would let us use their phone, or there's probably a payphone somewhere nearby, but nothing happened. You can't worry about what possibly could happen. Instead, I was just like, no, it's fine. I'll see it in a bit. And I was even impressed with myself, because to me, that's like putting my plane on airplane mode. And like I said, I even have a container where the only way to get stuff out of it is to literally break it open like a piggy bank. You can't pull the batteries out. You can't do nothing. That thing is shut for the amount of time that you say it's going to be shut. And if you're worried about people worrying about you, because we do have this sense of instant gratification now, or if we don't hear back from somebody, we start to worry about them, just put it on your social media. Hey, I'm putting my phone on airplane mode for X amount of time. If I don't answer you right away, I'll get back to you when I see your message, but I'm fine. Don't worry about me. And just give yourself that time. Spend some time alone. Turn your phone off or put it in airplane mode. I know sometimes phones take forever to reboot or boot back up. So just put it in airplane mode. Okay. Let's see. Ask yourself what you need. Ask yourself what you need. How often do we do that? You can even put it in your love letter to yourself. And number 1, you are priceless. What can I do for you to help you see that you are priceless? Number 10. We're at number 10. Don't feel bad about saying no. Don't feel bad about saying no. I know a lot of times we freak out about that and we think, oh my God, I need to say no to this, that, or the other. But I can't, because I'm so afraid that they're going to be mad and they're not going to want to hang out with me anymore, or this and that and yada yada. And we come up with 5,000 excuses as to why we can't say no. And if you have a dinged up mental health, or if your brain is exactly where mine is today, you're just going to overwhelm yourself more. The other day I went to the cemetery with one of my dear friends, and it was her mom's death anniversary. And so we just went there, and it was hard for her, but she didn't want to do it alone. So I'm like, okay, we'll go together, and we'll just sit there and talk for a couple of hours. Well, it usually ends up being a couple of hours. But she's like, have you ever been here? Have you ever tried this? Do you want to go after? And I'm like, I can't. And usually I would say yes, because I am in my people pleasing days. I would say yes. But I'm a recovering people pleaser. And I did apologize a couple times, saying I'm really, really sorry, but my brain is just... Because we have to take care of ourselves. If we do not practice our own self-care, we're going to fall apart. And I was working on about half a cup there that day. I had already committed to going to the cemetery. I did feel like I wanted to say no, but I understand how it feels to lose a parent. And I know how hard it can be to go there and just sit and want to stay there to visit with them, or at least visit with their grave, however you want to think about that. But, it's they have a beautiful view. It's a nice place. We end up having conversations for a couple of hours, and it just turns out to be a nice day. And I think it helps put, that person back into a better mindset. And I did apologize. I said, I'm really sorry about my brain. She's like, it's okay. You have to take care of yourself. That's support group. Those are people who understand that when you say no, it doesn't mean they're not going to ask again. It just means they understand that you're trying to take care of yourself. Just like when they tell you, no, I can't today because I just need to rest. it's kind of like, it's kind of like that. Because then she's all like, well, what are you doing tomorrow, the next day? And it's like, you know what? I just really need to get my brain into order. I really do. Because I said, all this therapy homework I have, it's just upending me pretty hard. And she's like, it's okay. But she knows that I will bounce back eventually, and I'll get there. I'll be there. So when we learn how to say no, if you have the right set of people around you, they're going to understand. They're not going to stop inviting you to things. They're just going to understand. But they will understand better if you're honest with them. Don't just say, nope, sorry, I'm out today. Because then they might think, well, maybe they just don't want to hang out with me. And there are some people like that. There's some people who worry about why. So if you feel comfortable enough to share why, just say, you know what, for me, I just say my brain is not in a good place today. I can't. Because, I can't push myself past my limit. And a lot of times it could be because you don't want to do the drive. Maybe you can't do the drive. Maybe you don't feel safe doing the drive. If that's the case, maybe say, but you do want to visit, say, hey, do you mind coming here? Or mind meeting somewhere closer or somewhere in between. And just play it out. But don't be afraid to say no. All right? And if you're a good friend and somebody says no to you, or I should say, if somebody says no to you, be a good friend and be understanding. I had somebody once say, well, if you keep telling me no, I'm going to stop inviting you. Now, the interesting thing about it is that kind of it bit them in the butt later. Because when they would say no, they thought that that's what was going to happen to them. Until finally I said, just because you say no doesn't mean I'm going to stop inviting you. That's your thing. That's not my thing. I realize sometimes we just have to take care of ourselves and we just have to rest. So I'm good at telling other people that. I'm not necessarily good at following it. So that's where I'm learning. That's where I'm getting better. So that is Self-Care Wednesday. I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. And, mind the tips. The tips are pretty good. I will, I'll write them. I'll write them into the comments, and I'll put them in the comments on YouTube too, just in case. So if you are watching this on YouTube, just look into the comments and they'll be in there. So again, I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching and for hanging in there. I do try to keep these short, but I'm so rambly. I really am a chatty person. I should have my own talk show. Like, seriously, I could totally make it work for a whole hour. But Oprah needs to give me my own talk show. But anyways, I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Please take care of yourselves. Tomorrow is Things to Think on Thursday. I will think of something to talk about on Thursday. And 8:30 a.m. Pacific, I keep saying Pacific Standard Time. I don't know if it's standard or daylight, and I don't want to be corrected, so Pacific Time. California time. 8:30 a.m. California time. Facebook Live. All lives are public. Under Shelly Marie Lucas. Anybody can watch, whether we're friends or not. Or again, as I mentioned, I do share them to YouTube. I do upload them to YouTube. Under the Aloha Perspective with Shelly Marie Lucas. And I do have a Facebook page called the Aloha Perspective where I also share it too. So I hope everybody, again, has a wonderful, wonderful day. Please, please, please take care of yourselves. I know that there were 10 things on that list of things to do. The one thing I truly, truly want everybody to do that is watch this. Write yourself a love letter and begin it with, you are priceless. You are priceless. You are worth more than the currency of the world, because you are priceless. Your life is priceless. There's only one of you. Even if you're, an identical somebody, there's still only one of you inside. So again, dear, fill in the blank, you are priceless, and write yourself a beautiful letter, a meaningful letter. And maybe you'll start to see where there's little holes and gaps of what you need to, what you need to work on to truly, truly love yourself and to truly, truly see that you are priceless. Have a great day, everybody, and I will see you tomorrow.